Hi guys, how's it going? Today we're going to go over how to draw owl. I'm using Photoshop CS6, and right now I'm just doing the lay-in, the general line work. It's going to be really sloppy, really fast. I'm kind of making him wall-eyed a little bit, toying with the idea. I'm not 100% what his design's going to be. So I changed the size of the canvas there. I'm adding really random indications for shadow. I'm only working in black and white right now. I'm putting him, made like a ground plane to keep the figure kind of standing there, something substantial. I'm flipping the image because sometimes you get too used to viewing the image from one angle. If you mirror it, it'll kind of give you a fresh eye view on the whole thing, just to kind of get the proportions down. I'm going into the eyes a little bit, just smaller details, gradually building up. I'm starting to do I'm trying to get painterly here. I'm not so much painting in the lines only first. It's kind of like big swatches of tone and line and form. I'm still kind of toying with everything. I feel like I'm kind of shaping clay a little bit, but with I guess with digital paint. Go more into the eyeball, trying to make it round. So I pretend I'm shading a ball, just a regular ball. Kind of going over what design I want for its kind of a feathered ear section. I keep straightening that out. I go back into the shadows more a little bit, trying to render out. When I say, by the way, when I say render, I mean just shading of any type. So I try to render out that eye, render out the mouth area. Once in a while, the way I work is I like to put in the line work, then I render out any like a single area that I'm confident in. And sometimes when that looks nice, it gives me more confidence to do the rest. It's just a trick for myself, I guess, that gets me motivated to keep going on the piece. I'm still just shaping out the top of his head, kind of changing my mind back and forth on what I want. If I'm putting the lower eyelid in shadow as well, giving him definitely a cartoony look. I'm flipping it again, because again, if you stare at it for far too long, you start to kind of lose sight of things. Things just start to look right, you know. And just like I said, mirroring it will let you see a lot of mistakes you were making. You know, just things that are not symmetrical or not standing, or things are too heavy on one side, or there's too much maybe dark on one side as opposed to the other. That's something you should balance, unless it's like an extreme shadow. Still messing around with the floor, his feet, kind of the background. I want to make the background kind of coexist with him. I don't want to make it seem like he's a sticker on a background. I pull way back, just filling in the sky area. I changed the resolution a little bit. I make him a little bit bigger, so I can go in deeper now. The reason for that is in the beginning I make him pretty low res, maybe like 100 to 200. Well, not 150 about, pixels per inch or dots per inch. I forget. Sorry. I start out with that, and as I get my lay in and I have a decent amount in, I start zooming in on certain areas. That's when I'll raise the resolution to like 300. Still going on the eye. Try to make the eyes as much of a ball as I can. And the pupil, nothing with the pupil. I want the eye to bulge out. Sometimes if things start to get fuzzy on you when you're rendering or shading, the best thing is what usually that problem is when it's muddy is you need more contrast in your image. And when I say contrast, I mean the difference between the light and the dark. So if you have a big mess of gray in some areas, try putting in a darker shadow in areas that you want to pop out or show or stand out, or maybe the edge of the form. Put a darker shadow in there. and then start pulling out other things, like the white of the eye there, white, start pulling that out. And it'll start separating them. One shape will go back and one will go forward when you start darkening or lightening. Still messing around. Not really messing around so much, I'm just kind of like toying with it. I'm also deciding on what I want it round, but what do I want? Where do I want a highlight to come out? Do I want reflected light from his stomach? And there will be a little bit. Still going. Let me see. Oh, I duplicated the eye because I liked the eyes are gonna be more or less symmetrical, even though they are opposite. So what I did was I rendered out one eye to a decent level, and then I copy and pasted it over to his other eye. And I know I'm gonna mess with both of them later on, but as far as that portion goes, I'm gonna be doing the same thing on the other side, so I might as well just copy what I did on my own. Now I'm going into the feathers. It's a little it's a little hard because they have so many little, especially like this, cartoonified feathers. I'm trying to make each stand out, but I also want to make all of it together read as one form, as one side, one plane. Going back in the shadow. As you can tell, I go back and forth a lot because sometimes I fix one area and I don't like the other. Going back and forth in the low area. Again, I'm messing with the values of the background. See if we could fit into that. From this point on, I have a really general idea of where he's going to be, what expression he's making, where his eyes are going to be placed, where his mouth is going to be placed, things like that. So what I'm doing right now is I am just trying to pick at everything I can possibly pick at and straighten out edges that I don't like. Maybe put in more darks into the eyes. I'm wondering, I want to maybe separate that value up there. I think it's too close. I need maybe the top of his skull there. Putting in maybe more dark. I want, maybe his whole torso to read like a ball, in a way. Like kind of a ball form, a rounded form. Going down to the feet a little bit. Try to straighten that out. Again, something at this point is just seeming a little off, so I'm like reversing it. It's just a lot of minor things that are bothering me. But when you're doing this thing and you're the artist, when kind of like when you do your own things, the minor things that maybe most people won't notice, those minor things will plague you. They'll plague your mind like crazy. And honestly, I do this for, I guess I do this for other people, right? But you do it for yourself mostly. You do it because you want to show what you're thinking. You just find it fun and entertaining to do these things. Going back to the feathers, I just don't think they're distinct enough. They just seem kind of muddy to me. So I'm trying to zoom in visually and zoom in, with the computer as well, and I want to separate those little forms out, but not so much so that they're all too piecey. I still want them to read as one side. I raise the contrast a little bit, and then I bring some color in, which I threw in there really quick. I just picked a brown because most owls are brown. Brown and yellow, all a bunch of hot colors. Warm colors. Pretty much warm colors everywhere except for the eyes. The eyes are the only cool color, which is bluish. Now I'm toying with this background here, like if I feel it's getting too muddy. With the I want to say an important note on the when I throw color over this, I'm not throwing it on a regular layer. I'm making a new layer and making an overlay layer. And that's how I'm adding the color initially. Now, this level, I'm adding another layer on top of that layer, if you know how to use Photoshop. And I am using it as a normal layer right now, you know. So it's the black and white layer. Over that, I throw another layer, and I change it to an overlay layer. I change the settings, make an overlay layer. Then I make another layer over that, and I do my fixes, things that bother me. I'm using the Lasso Tool, which I believe is L on the PC. And that just kind of like, you make a line selection, so it's a very straight line selection. Putting a little more dark underneath his chin there, underneath his beak. I zoom in and out constantly, just because I constantly do that because I want to see, you know, if it's looking right from far away, because that's what the first read you're gonna look at is boom. You're gonna look at it from kind of far away, or at least you're gonna see the whole picture in this entirety. Going back to the eye there, putting in some darks, sharpening a few edges that I don't like. Going back in there, continuously going into the beak there again, maybe throwing some other colors in there. I throw some yellow into the eye as if it's reflecting, like the beak is reflecting into the eyeball. I start toying with maybe just kind of pulling back on any of the highlights, so I start messing with that. Like how much highlight do I want in this, you know? Adding a kind of a darker, I selected a darker color. It's just a kind of a bluish dark because I wanted some cool colors underneath. In this particular image, I'm not really taking into account as much color as I normally would. I'm not as finessing it as much as I would try to, but I feel like it's a good read anyway. I try to make it a good enough read. Still going back in, more just going back. It's a lot of pulling and pushing and pulling. Like I try to cover up a highlight, and I'm like, wow, I really don't like that. So I like pull it back, and I want that highlight back, you know. So I'm toying with what I think looks good to my eye. It's a lot of finesse, they call it, finessing all these little edges everywhere. Pull back. I flip it again, just kind of keep looking at it. Going back to the beak. See that. Go back to the eye there, throw a little more shadow on the eye. Throw some yellow that exists out in the background. I want to throw some yellow on him. Yellow would naturally be on him because it's all over him. Softening some more edges. Throwing in, just sharpening things out. And I'm pretty close to done. So that's pretty much it. Just kind of messing with the background, very little. Toying with maybe the idea of a sun. But at this point I'm like, you know, I turn it upside. There's another thing I do. Turn it upside down, you really see your form objectively. If you just keep flipping it, you're like, it looks the same to me. Flip it upside down and see what it looks like to you. Alright, and that's about it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching my video, and please subscribe to my channel. And I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks.